What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we got some interesting news. As 4-division world champion, who currently is the super middleweight undisputed world champion, and widely considered by many to be the #1 pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez, 58 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age, standing at 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. With that said, Canelo Alvarez recently beat former IBF super middleweight world champion superstar boxer Caleb Sweethand Plant. That took place November 6, Las Vegas, Nevada, MGM Grand Garden Arena. With that said, Canelo Alvarez, he's being viewed as the #1 best fighter in the world. But prior to his fight with Caleb Plant, he's a 4-division champion. He's undisputed, became the first undisputed super middleweight champion. He became the first Mexican-born fighter to hold all 4 major sanctioned belts. So he's garnered a lot of attention, a lot of respect and acknowledgement for his accomplishments. With that said, prior to his fight, Canelo Alvarez was second on most people's list. That too, 3-division world champion, undefeated, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence "Bud" Crawford. He's now 38 wins, no losses, no draws. Terence Crawford has 29 wins by way of knockout. He is 34 years of age, stands at 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Okay, so with that said, many people view Terence Crawford as the best fighter in the world, okay? Now, the knock on Terence Crawford is the lack of competition. Now, Terence Crawford, he recently beat 2-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter, and he did so in a manner that Shawn Porter has never been defeated. He knocked out Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter's father, trainer, and manager, Kenny Porter, he threw in the towel after a second knockdown in the 10th round. And Terence Crawford, he got a knockout victory, or TKO victory. Right? So with that said, it was always boiling down to the lack of competition on Terence Crawford's resume. Now, he became undisputed. He was the 3rd undisputed 4 major sanctioned belt holder in the history of the sport of boxing, behind only Bernard Hopkins, Jermaine Taylor, who beat Bernard Hopkins to become #2, and then Terence Crawford became #3, and then Oleksandr Usyk became #4 at cruiserweight. Then Josh Taylor, he became #5 at junior welterweight, also like Terence Crawford. And then Canelo Alvarez became #6 after he defeated Caleb Plant. So with that said, he became undisputed before Canelo Alvarez, okay? And so you have guys like legendary retired Hall of Famer, former pound-for-pound king, former pay-per-view king, the man known as Money, Floyd Money Mayweather. He states that Canelo Alvarez is #3 on his list, okay, as pound for pound. He believes that Terence Crawford is #1, and he believes that undefeated unified rival of Terence Crawford, WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered to be top 3 best pound for pound fighters in the world, in Errol the Truth Spence Jr., 27 wins, no losses, no draws, 21 wins by way of knockout, 31 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach, is at #2, okay? Now, we know that blemish on Canelo Alvarez's resume came at the hands of Floyd Mayweather, the 1 loss, and then he had some questionable victories, okay? Many people thought that he lost to Erislandy Lara, Cuban superstar boxer. Many people thought that he lost both fights to former unified reigning middleweight world champion Gennady Triple G Golovkin, okay? And so with that said, he has 2 draws. He has a draw to Gennady Golovkin, which people thought that he lost the first fight for sure, and then people thought he lost the second fight, okay? And people thought that, many people, about 80% thought that he lost to Erislandy Lara. So Canelo Alvarez has some questionable victories on his resume, where Terence Crawford doesn't, Errol Spence doesn't, and they have not been in the game and participating at a high level as long as Terence Crawford, okay? I mean, as long as Canelo Alvarez. But Floyd Mayweather, he fought Canelo Alvarez back in 2013, September of 2013, and he won every single round. May of 2013, he won every single round against Canelo Alvarez, okay? And a judge found it to be a draw in favor of, Canelo Alvarez, where many people thought that Canelo Alvarez simply lost every round. To see a draw, that favors Canelo Alvarez, okay? You're giving Canelo Alvarez more credit than he garnered, okay? And Canelo Alvarez himself, he didn't even believe that it was a draw, okay? He thought that it was clearly, that he lost, okay? So it all boils down to resume, okay, and skill set. Now, Floyd Mayweather, he believes the versatility, the skill set of Terence Crawford, that is, comparable to himself. He says he sees a lot of himself in Terence Crawford, and he even edges out Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence. That's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing currently as it stands. So with that said, Canelo Alvarez, he was also compared to, undefeated 3-division world champion superstar boxer Gervonta Tank Davis. He stated that he's and Canelo Alvarez have a lot of similarities. Canelo Alvarez is just a super middleweight version of himself. So Canelo Alvarez, he does an interview. He was actually doing an interview to promote what he has going on and, his victory and the holidays, so on and so forth. And Canelo Alvarez was asked about Terence Crawford victory, Terence Crawford being considered to be the best fighter in the world. And, Gervonta Tank Davis comments about, Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo Alvarez, he responds and he says that they're both very, very good fighters. And, he's a fan of both fighters. He's a fan of Terence Crawford and Gervonta Tank Davis, who is 25 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, 27 years of age, 5'5", with a 67-inch arm reach. He has a fight coming up December 5th. So Canelo Alvarez is a fan of the sport of boxing. So it's not surprising that he says that he gives them acknowledgement and he gives them praise. But he says that he is the best fighter in the world and that nobody can beat him today. I believe that, first of all, the pound-for-pound list was created for, versatile fighters. And, it was a statement that was to be made that if you move through the weight divisions and your style can compete with any style, okay? It was created for Sugar Ray Robinson, okay? And heavyweights were to be exempt off this list because as the heavyweight division goes, so goes the sport of boxing. And simply, if you're Tyson Fury, Canelo Alvarez cannot beat Tyson Fury. Terence Crawford can't beat Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is viewed to be the best heavyweight in the world at 6'9" with an 85-inch arm reach, okay, and 275 pounds. There's no possible way that Canelo Alvarez or Terence Crawford could compete with him, okay? Not even super middleweights or light heavyweights, okay? And there's a cruiserweight, undefeated, undisputed, now unified heavyweight world champion, Oleksandr Usyk, who is still viewed as an underdog to Tyson Fury, and he's a natural heavyweight now at 6'3", 225 pounds, and nobody will peg him to beat Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury has a 6-inch height advantage over him. He has Oleksandr Usyk has a 75-inch arm reach or something of that magnitude. So that means that Tyson Fury has nearly a 10-inch arm reach advantage over Oleksandr Usyk. Okay, so with that said, that's just self-explanatory. He's just too big, okay? So the pound-for-pound list was created for guys like Sugar Ray Robinson that are in smaller weight classes, but their styles and their approach to the sport of boxing can, travel through weight divisions, okay? So with that said, you have to exempt the heavyweights off this list, okay? So Canelo Alvarez, though, and Terence Crawford. Now, Terence Crawford's style is more versatile than Canelo Alvarez, okay? He has more tools in the toolbox than Canelo Alvarez. So I can understand the case and the argument made for Terence Crawford on the part of Floyd Mayweather and on the part of Errol Spence, over Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez has glaring weaknesses, his foot, okay, his feet. He has slow feet, doesn't have the quickest feet. He struggles with pure boxers, as we see even in the fight with Caleb Plant in the first half of the fight. Caleb Plant was outboxing him, making Canelo Alvarez miss, being slick, but eventually Canelo Alvarez, high ring IQ. Canelo Alvarez bends at the hips very well. He has great head movement, and he has fast hands, put combinations together very well. But he struggles with guys that have quick feet, as he struggled with Floyd Mayweather. And as you can see in the Caleb Plant in the first half of the fight, for the first 5 rounds, and some of the rounds against Billy Joe Saunders, and you can end a fight with Erislandy De Lara speaks volumes in itself, okay, because most people thought he clearly lost the fight with Erislandy De Lara, who was a mover, a slick boxer, and a southpaw. So with that said, Canelo Alvarez obviously is confident in himself. He obviously believes that he is the best fighter in the world, but when it comes to versatility, if you put Terence Crawford in the ring with Canelo Alvarez at 154, I would favor Terence Crawford to win the fight. Okay, even Terence Crawford, if he moved up at a catch weight or 160, I would favor Terence Crawford. Okay, he has a 4-inch arm reach advantage over Canelo Alvarez. He has a 1-inch height advantage over Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is about 5'7", and he can switch from orthodox to southpaw fluently. And he has power. He's ambidextrous. He has power in both hands. He has knockouts in his last 9 fights now. And so when he fights the biggest level opposition in Shawn Porter, he gets a knockout. When Canelo Alvarez fights his biggest opposition, he struggled. Okay, when he fought Triple G, he struggled, and many people thought he lost both fights. When he fought Erislandy Lara, he struggled, and many people thought he lost that fight. When he fought Floyd Mayweather, he lost every single round. So when he steps up in the level of opposition, he struggles. Okay, they make him seem to be average. Okay, that's not the case when we see with Terence Crawford. Now he was a nip and tuck fight with Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter's a 2-time welterweight champion. He's never been blown out, never knocked out, and Terence Crawford did something that nobody's ever done. He stopped Shawn Porter and dropped him twice. And again, you can make the case when you look at Canelo Alvarez. Yes, he's become undisputed, but the level of opposition in doing so, he beat Caleb Smith, who was a world champion and undefeated, but who did Caleb Smith beat? Okay, his level of talent. Yes, he beat Billy Joe Saunders, but who did Billy Joe Saunders beat? Okay, and how was he viewed? Okay, you look at Caleb Plant. He had one big victory in his career against Jose Uzcategui, in which he was the underdog in that fight. So yes, he does what he's supposed to do when he first faces certain level of opposition, but when he steps up to the best level of opposition, he struggled. So we got to see how it unfolds and plays out. But Canelo Alvarez, he says he gives praise to Terence Crawford, but no, he is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and he don't see himself losing because he's at the height of his career. So that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Hey, this is Ebony Bridges, Blonde Bomber, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.